Our study today will be about the Christian home. How to establish a home that is where the head is God, where a home that is founded in God, founded in Jesus Christ. I would like to share with you 17 rules for a happy marriage. The first one is establish your own private home. According to Genesis 2:24, therefore shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cleave into his wife, and they shall be one flesh. When a man and a woman are married, God looks at them as just one. They are one flesh. A married couple must leave father and mother and establish their own home, even if finances require that it be one-room apartment. You see, I have experienced that already also. It's better because if the children are living with the parents, sometimes they cannot always be getting along. Sometimes they have a little bit of some displeasure with each other or a bit of argument. What happens is if you are there and you hear them talking and sort of arguing, maybe you feel sorry for your child, so some parents would interrupt and they will side with their children, which is the worst thing because that could cause divorce. If you're going to side with somebody, it's probably better to side with the spouse of your child. But that can also create a problem because your child might think that you're siding and both of them have the reasons why they think they're right. So it's not really good to be around a couple. It's better for them to be alone and they solve their own problems. Number 2, continue your courtship. Above all, hold unfailing your love for one another, since love covers a multitude of sins. 1 Peter 4:8. Love covers a multitude of sins. Her husband praises here. We should continue praising our spouse. Proverbs 31:28. She that is married careth how she may please her husband. 1 Corinthians 7:34. Be kindly affectionate one to another, in honor preferring one another. Continue the courtesies of courtship in your married life. Successful marriages do not happen, they must be developed. Don't take each other for granted, or the monotony that results will destroy your marriage. Keep love growing by expressing love for one another, or it dies, and you will drift apart. Love and happiness are not found by seeking them for yourself, but rather by giving them to others. So spend as much time as possible doing things together. If you would get along, learn to greet each other with enthusiasm. Relax, visit, shop, sightsee, eat together. Don't overlook the little courtesies, encouragements, and affectionate acts. Divorce itself is not the greatest destroyer of marriage, but rather lack of love. Given a chance, love always wins. Remember that God joined you together in marriage. Matthew 19:5 and 6. For this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife. Wherefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let no man put asunder. Has love almost disappeared from your home? The devil, that notorious home breaker, is responsible for this. Don't forget that God himself joined you together in marriage, and he intends for you to stay together and be happy. He will bring happiness and love into your lives if you will obey his divine rules. With God, all things are possible. Do not despair. God, who places them in the heart of missionary for a leprous savage, can easily give your love for one another if you will let him. Guard your thoughts, number 4. Do not let your senses trap you. For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Stop looking for a woman. Stop comparing, your wife or your husband to the spouse of another person. Because if you keep on comparing, like the devil will convince you that you will see someone that you will probably think, oh, she's better than my wife. Oh, she's more beautiful than my wife. And so it's very dangerous. Somehow you might even start to like somebody's spouse. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Proverbs 4:23. Concentrate your mind, focus on your spouse. She's the most beautiful girl in the world, or their husband the most handsome man in the world. Whatsoever things are true, honest, just, purely lovely, or good report, think of these things. The wrong kind of thinking will destroy your marriage. The devil will trap you with thoughts like this. Oh, our marriage was a mistake. She doesn't understand me. I cannot take more of this. We can always divorce if necessary. I'll go home to mother. He smiled at that woman. Stop thinking thoughts like this on your marriage, because your thoughts and senses govern your actions. Avoid seeing, saying, reading, or hearing anything which or associating with anyone who suggests impurity or unfaithfulness. Thoughts uncontrolled are like an automobile in neutral on a hill. Anything can happen, and the result is always disaster. Never retire for the night angry with one another. Ephesians 4:26 says, let not the sun go down upon your wrath. If you have any disagreement or quarrels, whatever, before the sunset, you should fix it. You should settle your differences. I would suggest you, man, to be humble enough, because otherwise, if none of you will submit or will try to be humble, then both of you will think, I'm the one right. He should be the one to ask for forgiveness. Go to your wife and say, I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry that I misunderstood you, or whatever. Confess your faults one to another. James 5:16. Forgetting those things which are behind. Be kind one to another, understand, forgiving, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you. To remain angry and upset over hurts and grievances, big or little, is exceedingly dangerous. Unless quickly solved, even little problems become set in your own mind as conviction and attitudes, affecting adversely your whole philosophy of life. This is why God says to let anger cool before retiring at night. Be big enough to forgive, to say with sincerity, to say, I'm sorry. After all, no one is perfect, and you are both on the same team to be sportsmanlike enough to honestly admit a mistake when you make it. Besides, making up is very pleasant experience with unusual powers to draw marriage partners closer together. God suggested. That's why it works. Pray together. Number 6. Pray that you enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Matthew 26:41. Pray one for another. James 5:16. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally. So wisdom comes from God, and it's suggested that we should pray so that wisdom will come to us. We will think of the right thing to do. Pray aloud for one another. This is a wonderful rule that succeeds beyond the wildest dream. Kneel before God and ask Him for true love for one another. One reason why I used to be a very naughty boy, but one reason probably why I have decided to reform was because of I usually come home before and I hear my mother praying aloud. Please help my son to be to straighten up. Help him not to continue going with the wrong friends. Help him to change his attitude. Help him to respect us, to honor us, his parents, and help him not to come home very late at night or early in the morning and do a lot of mischievous things. I heard some of those, and I heard my mom pleading with God sometimes in the middle of the night when I come home, and she's still praying. Well, that sort of gave me guilt feeling later on. Pray aloud. Kneel before God and ask Him for true love for one another, for forgiveness, for strength, for wisdom, for the solution to problems. God has given a personal guarantee that He will answer. The praying person is not automatically cured of all his faults, but he will have a heart that wants to do right. No family ever breaks up while praying together for God's help. Oh, that is a very good finding. No family breaks up if they both pray. Whenever they have, even if they have no problems, always pray together. Keep Christ in the center of your home. Psalms 127:1. Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. In all my ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy path. And the peace of God, which passeth all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. This is a great rule that really covers all the others. Put Christ first. The real secret of true happiness in the home is not diplomacy, strategy, and tiring efforts to overcome problems, but rather union with Christ. Hearts filled with Christ's love can never be very far apart. With Christ in the home, marriage will be successful. The gospel is the cure for all marriages that are filled with hatred, bitterness, and disappointment. It prevents divorces by the hundreds by miraculously restoring love and happiness. It will save your marriage too if you are willing. Agree that divorce is not the answer. What therefore God has joined together, let no man put asunder. Matthew 19:6. Whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery. And whoso marrieth her, which is put away, that commit adultery. Matthew 19:9. The woman which hath an husband bound by the law to her husband is so long as he liveth. The Bible is clear. The ties of marriage are meant to be undissoluble, undissoluble, and indestructible. Divorce is permissible only in the case of adultery, but even then it is not demanded, only permitted. Forgiveness is always better than divorce, even in the case of moral fault. Marriage is for life. God so ordained it when He performed the first wedding in Eden. Any thought of divorce as a way out will destroy any marriage, and this is one reason Jesus ruled it out. Divorce is also an evil and almost never a solution to the problem, but instead it creates much greater problems, so it should never be considered or mentioned. Torn, frustrated, unhappy, twisted lives almost inevitably follow divorce, and even success in the life itself is often thwarted. God instituted marriage to guard man's purity and happiness, to provide for his social needs, and to elevate his physical, mental, and moral nature. Its vows are among the most solemn and binding obligations which human being can assume. To lightly set them aside results in removing oneself from God's favor and blessing. Keep the family circle closely tight. Number 9. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Exodus 20:14. The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. The Lord hath seen hath been witness between thee and thy wife of thy youth, against whom thou hast dealt treacherously. Keep thee from evil woman. Lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee for with her eyelids. Can a man take fire in his bosom, and his clothes not be burned? So he that goeth into his neighbor's wife shall not be innocent. Proverbs 6:24 to 29. Family intimacies must never be shared with each other, not even parents. It is a great sin and tragedy to break this God-given rule. A third person to sympathize or listen complaints is tool of the devil to strain the hearts of husband and wife. Solve your home problems privately. No one else should be involved. Be truthful with each other always and never keep secrets from each other. Number 10. That God describes love, make it your daily goal to measure up. Love is forbearing and kind. Love knows no jealousy. Love does not brag, is conceited. She is not unmannerly, nor selfish, nor irritable, nor mindful of wrongs. She does not rejoice in injustice, but joyfully sides with the truth. She can overlook faults. She is full of trust, full of hope, full of endurance. 1 Corinthians 13:7. Remember that criticism and nagging destroys love. Husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them. Colossians 3:9. It is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and an angry woman. Proverbs 21:19. A continual dropping in a very rainy day and contentious woman are alike. Proverbs 27:15. Why beholdest thou the note splinter that is thy brother's eye, but rest not the beam whole board that is in thine own eye? Love looks for a way of being constructive. 1 Corinthians 13:4-7. Stop criticizing. Stop nagging, fault-finding. Your partner may lack much, but nagging won't help. Do not expect perfection or bitterness will result. Overlook faults and hunt for good things. Do not try to reform, control, or compel your partner. You will destroy his love. Only God can change people. Get that? Do not overdo in anything. Be temperate. Every man that striveth for mastery is temperate in all things. 1 Corinthians 9:25. Love does not pursue selfish advantage. 1 Corinthians 13:5. Whether therefore ye eat or drink, whatsoever ye do, do all to the glory of God. I keep under my body and bring it into subjection. If any man would not work, neither should he eat. Even if we have to work to eat, we should be temperate. When we're tired, we should rest. Because if we overdo our work, if we work so hard and no more rest, sometimes 2 or 3 jobs, it makes us always, it's very easy to make us upset. Every little mistake, we get angry. We are sort of irritable. Marriage is honorable. Reign in your mortal body, that you should obey it in the lust thereof. Neither yield your members as instruments of unrighteousness and to sin. Overdoing in things will ruin your marriage. So will underdoing. Also, laziness is not good too. I have met people who divorced, who were subjected to divorce and separation. And I asked why, and usually the spouse, sometimes the woman say, "Oh, my husband was very lazy. He doesn't want to work," and so on. or it could be vice versa too. You see, when poverty creeps into the home, love flies out of the window. My father used to say that. That's why he told us that we should work hard to be able to support the family. If possible, the man should support the wife can just stay home. Should just stay home and take care of the kids, and the husband work because sometimes both of them working and both work so hard, they both become irritable, and or if they are also lazy, one or both of them are lazy, then maybe they won't have enough money to be able to buy their needs, supply their food, and so on. So love flies out of the window. Work, love, rest, exercise, play, worship, meals, and social contacts must be carefully balanced in your marriage, or something will snap. Overwork and lack of sleep and proper food and exercise make a person critical, intolerant, and negative. Constant overeating is great evil, which strengthens the animal nature and dulls the conscience. Sexual abuse destroys a love for holy things and weakens vitality. Overdoing or underdoing in anything weakens the mind, body, and conscience, and ability to love and respect one another. Respect each other's personal rights and privacies. Love is forbearing. Love knows no jealousy, is not unmannerly nor selfish. She does not rejoice in injustice. She is full of trust. 1 Corinthians 13:4-7. Be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love in honor, preferring one another. Romans 12:10. Each person has a God-given right to certain personal privacies without explanation. Do not tamper with each other's wallets, personal mail, and other private properties unless given permission. Marriage partners do not own each other, so should never try to force personality changes. Only God can make such changes, and we will all answer personally to Him on this matter. So, respect wallet of your wife, wallet of your husband. We should not go and look at them and so on, and just trust each other with what they do. If you do that, the devil will work and hard on you and make you suspicious of something that you might see, which might have nothing to do with any wrongdoing by the owner of such. Be clean, modest, orderly, and dutiful. In like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel. 1 Timothy 2:9. She works with willing hands. She rises while it is night and provides food for her husband. She looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. That's a very good wife. Someone who works with willing hands. The husband finds a job, earns money outside, and the wife is always ready with food for him when he comes home. And she does not eat the bread of idleness because the husband works hard, but she is not idle herself to prepare food. Let all things be done decently and in order. If any provide not for his own house, he is worse than an infidel. If you cannot provide for your own needs at home, I don't know, maybe this is talking more to the man, you are worse than an infidel. Be not slothful. Laziness, disorder, dirt, and slovenliness are the devil's weapons to destroy your respect and affection for one another and thus ruin your marriage. Neat, modest attire and clean, well-groomed bodies are essential for both husband and wife. The meal should be wholesome, attractive, and served on time. The home should be clean and orderly because this brings peace, calmness, and satisfaction to all. A lazy, shiftless husband who does not provide for the household is a curse to the family and an insult to God. So the husband should be industrious, should be a good provider. But the wife, the same thing, should be industrious also in the home. Make sure that the food is ready when it's time to eat. Make sure that she's clean. I like a wife who would take a shower, take a bath every day because she smells fresh all the time. And husbands, man, usually likes to kiss their woman. And it's nice if they smell good instead of smelling like dirt or something else. Determine to speak softly and kindly. A soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. Live joyfully with the wife whom thou lovest. Ecclesiastes 9:9. When I became a man, I put away childish things. Force yourself to speak softly and kindly to your partner. Silence when attacked is often the best method to cool wrath. Decisions made when angry, tired, or discouraged are unreliable anyway. So it's best to relax, let anger cool off, and when you do speak, let it always be quietly and lovingly. Harsh, angry words crush your partner's desire to please you. See, it is hard to do because everybody always thinks they're right and everybody wants to be in control. But I found that the best thing to do is if the other one is angry or is mad or speaking, sometimes the voice is high or loud voice, it's better to just keep quiet. Keep quiet. Don't say anything. And then maybe time will come they get tired of talking. Because if you talk also, then you'll talk back and so on. You might even hurt each other if you don't do that. If you continue because you get more and more angry with each other. If one is fire, the other one should be water. See, when water and fire meets, who usually win? The water. The water looks for the lowest place. That's why it's good to be humble. Go to the lowest area, and the fire looks for the highest area. So someone is very angry and keep on yelling and shouting. If you are the water, you meet them with lowly attitude, with humility and humbleness. You like the water, and then when you meet, maybe you will be able to subdue the fire that is burning and aggressively burning. So you'll be able to subdue it and maybe stop the fire. Be reasonable in money matters. Love is not possessive. Love is good manners and does not pursue selfish advantages. God loveth a cheerful giver. All positions and income in marriage should be ours and not yours or mine. Part of the income belongs to the wife for groceries, clothing, and bills that she pays. It should be handled. It should be handed to her without argument. Wife and husband both should have small equal sums whenever possible to spend as desired and without giving account. A miserly husband usually angers his wife into being a splendor, and a wasteful wife makes a husband stingy. So I hope you find that, let the wife spend. My dad usually tell me, your wife is like a flower in a pedestal. You have to adorn her. Let her buy her nice clothes. Let her look good all the time, because she will be an inspiration to you. Plus, it will also show that you love her, and people will see that you have a wholesome relationship between the two of you, that you're both happy. Talk things over and counsel together. Love is neither anxious to impress nor does it cherish inflated ideas of its own importance. It is not touchy. 1 Corinthians 13:4 and 5. He that refuses instruction despiseth his own soul. Proverbs 15:32. Seest thou a man wise in his own concept? There is more hope of a fool than of him. The changing of job or the purchasing of a home, an automobile, a boat, furniture, clothing, and all other items which require money involve both husband and wife, and opinions of both should be considered. Counseling together will save many blunders that could ruin your marriage. If, after much counsel and earnest prayers, opinions still differ, the wife should submit to her husband. So it says here that if you cannot get along, you continue to have different opinion. In the end, you see, God has chosen the husband to be the head of the home. Let your husband make the decision and maybe give the last word. Now, maybe not here in America, because in America, most of the time, the woman gives the last word. But somebody said, the man gives the last word. And that is, he says, yes, honey, I'll do it. So, but anyway, I would probably, anyway, that's what the Bible says. I would probably think that whoever has more education or more, who is more conscientious of the two, should be asked for the decision at the end. Maybe a good, and sometimes it varies, but that is what it says. Whoever has more, gives more wiser decision. Oh, you will know that as you stay together. You'll know who has better, who is more conscientious, who has more common sense, who has more think more for the benefit of the family, and maybe he or she could give the decision. There's always an exception to the rule. But call this time, those of you who are married, can I ask you to sit beside your spouse? If you are far apart, husband, go beside your spouse and meet in one place. Hold each other's hand. How many of you would like to establish a heavenly home even while you are in this earth? And then now, let me suggest, or let me ask you to hug or kiss each other, and let us pray that God will help us establish a heavenly home on this earth. Dear God, I pray that you will bless these couples who are united, who you have united together in marriage and in love. I pray that they will make you the head of their home. And I pray that they will stay married together. Nothing can separate them. And if death will separate them, may they continue to be together in the new earth when you restore Eden, so that they too can still be together as the partners for eternity. And bless also the home, that peace and love will continue to abide in it, and their children help their children, that they may grow up in the knowledge and nurture of the truth. They grow up uprightly in your teachings. Forgive us our sins, dear Father, and let these married couples be blessed and continue living a happy home under your care. I ask all this favor in Jesus' holy name. I pray. Amen. So here's the summary of a Christian home. It is the will of God that we have a happy home. The home God's the same as the home that God established and have in Eden before sin. The woman was created to help man. Sometimes the home is unhappy. What makes the home unhappy? We studied that. The responsibility of each other to make the home unhappy, or to make the home happy. The duty of the woman is to cooperate with the husband. The duty of the man is to love his wife. You must live with the wife. Leave your parents and live alone. Establish your own family. The duty of the children, found in Ephesians 6:1-3. I want you to review that. The duty of the parents, Ephesians 6:4. Duty of the servants, the children to obey their parents. Duty of the parents is to be kind and fair and loving to their children. Duty of the servants is not to go there and sort of you have to obey their masters, work diligently for their master, not to sort of tempt their master to like them and break the marriage. That's the duty of the servant. The duty of the masters is to take care of his family, to pay their servants properly. The ideal woman is also found in Proverbs 31, 10 to 12, 26 and 28. And what destroys a home? It says here, wine destroys a home. Whiskey or alcohol. An alcoholic is lost. He dishonors the home. To give intoxicating drink is wrong. Sometimes the wife is the one making the husband drunk all the time because maybe the husband always is upset about mating, but it gets worse sometimes when he's drunk. He does more foolish things. The bars and nightclubs. The husband goes to the bars and nightclubs. It could destroy the home also, because bars and nightclubs, there are many women there who will try to tempt the man. Casinos and gambling places also destroys a home. Lack of communication, lack of romance and concern for each other. Insults, jokes, raised voice, blames, criticism, nagging, overkill statements, lack of communication and consultation from God, the head and settler or solver of problems. Laziness also, and lack of money can drive love away. Lack of self-control, patience, and common sense. The bread of idleness destroys happiness. Man must work